this episode of Ascend the Trenches, we're beginning to put the pieces together that we've been laying out so far. The collapse of discipline in parenting, the biblical definition of what parenting even means, the concepts of submission, headship, and patriarchy within the Christian marriage and God's design for marriage to reflect Christ and His church, and all of this being built upon the premise that everything, yes, everything, is spiritual. As we begin to take a step back and the puzzle starts to come together before our eyes, we are quickly faced with the realization that there is a coordinated and strategic attack against one of the first institutions God ever established. It's the attack on the family. Stick around as we uncover the lies of the enemy, the biblical response, and what you can and should do to lead your family well in this battle before us. I also want to take this moment to let you know about our first quarterly War Council Q&A. Over the last few weeks, we've been taking questions from you, our viewers, on the issues that you want to hear us cover most from a biblical and strategic worldview. But this is your last chance to get your questions in before we answer as many of those questions as time will allow in our Patreon exclusive War Council tiers. If you want to make sure your questions move to the front of the line, you'll want to join at the field captain level. But we will also be taking questions from every tier, as well as from the comment sections from our videos and posts. To have access to that members-only Q&A video, become an Ascend the Trenches council member or field captain on Patreon today. Now, on with the show. Do you want to support the Ascend the Trenches podcast and look great doing it? Then check out the shop at ascendthetrenches.com to see the lineup of tees, sweatshirts, hats, mugs, and more. We've got a fresh batch of new designs and even more coming soon. Win the battle for your family and support the cause at ascendthetrenches.com. On February 21st of 1848, Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels published their revolutionary work, The Communist Manifesto. In Chapter 2, the authors sharpen their criticisms and focus their gaze while responding to common rebuttals of the day against the communist position. In it, they cover topics such as property ownership, countries and nationalities, religion and philosophy, and right near the middle of it all, family and education. In the interest of keeping original context and not being accused of cherry picking, I'll read a majority of that section. They write, "On what foundation is the present family, the bourgeois family, based? On capital, on private gain. In its completely developed form, this family exists only among the bourgeoisie. But this state of things finds its complement in the practical absence of the family among the proletarians and in public prostitution. The bourgeois family will vanish as a matter of course when its complement vanishes, and both will vanish with the vanishing of capital. Do you charge us with wanting to stop the exploitation of children by their parents? To this crime we plead guilty. But, you say, we destroy the most hallowed of relations when we replace home education by social. And your education, is not that also social? And determined by the social conditions under which you educate? By the intervention direct or indirect of society by means of schools, etc.? The communists have not invented the invention of society and education. They do but seek to alter the character of that intervention and to rescue education from the influence of the ruling class. The bourgeois claptrap about the family and education, about the hollowed correlation of parents and child, become all the more disgusting, the more, by the action of modern industry, all the family ties among the proletarians are torn asunder and their children transformed into simple articles of commerce and instruments of labor. But you communists would introduce community of women, screams the bourgeoisie in chorus. The bourgeois sees his wife as a mere instrument of production. He hears that the instruments of production are to be exploited in common, and naturally can come to no other conclusion than that the lot of being common to all will likewise fall to the woman. He has not even a suspicion that the real point aimed at is to do away with the status of women as mere instruments of production. For the rest, nothing is more ridiculous than the virtuous indignation of our bourgeois at the community of women, which, they pretend, is to be openly and officially established by the communists. The communists have no need to introduce community of women. It has existed almost from time immemorial. Our bourgeois, not content with having wives and daughters of their proletarians at their disposal, not to speak of common prostitutes, take the greatest pleasure in seducing each other's wives. Bourgeois marriage is, in reality, a system of wives in common, and thus, at the most, what the communists might possibly be reproached with is that they desire to introduce, in substitution for a hypocritically concealed and openly legalized community of women. For the rest, it is self-evident that the abolition of the present system of production must bring with it the abolition of the community of women springing from that system, i.e., of prostitution, both public and private. In the Marxist view, every facet of life and society are viewed through the lenses of an economic class, the bourgeois and the proletariat, the capitalists and the working class. Critical theory is a downstream evolution of classical Marxism, which instead views the world through the lens of power, oppressor and oppressed. These views have been mainstreamed and even gained prominent influence within the church. Today, we are going to see just how deeply these ideologies have permeated modern Christianity and just what effect it has had on our families. Welcome to Ascend the Trenches, where we equip you to win the battle for your family in a world at war. Today's mission briefing is titled, The War on Family. Hello, my love.
Hello.
And hello to all of you. Welcome back to Ascend the Trenches. I am Jerrod, and this is my wife, Ilorra. And today we are talking about the war on the family. So just to kind of kick things off, again, this whole video, this whole podcast today is going to be kind of pulling together those ideas that we've been building upon. And a lot of times these things can seem like they're disconnected, or they're connected because we're all talking about family, but there's not like some big secret agenda. There's no conspiracy going on.
With the yarn.
Yeah, the red yarn pinned up all over the board. It's all connected. But it's all connected. So that's what we're going to be kind of pulling together today. And to do that, we are going to jump right into enemy recon. This is where we look at the lies that have been propagated, that have been sown even into the church and begun to take root, and how they have impacted us as we try to build our families in a God-honoring and biblical way. So, lie number one. We're starting off swinging. The attack on patriarchy. So, before I define any further, obviously, and we've mentioned this before, people hate this word. And it's even something that we wrestled through as we were kind of trying to come into a new understanding, which is really the old understanding of like just what the Bible says about husbands and wives and marriage and family and all of these things. And we were never egalitarian, but we were probably would be like complementarian in our understanding in a very egalitarian environment, and still felt like there were certain things that just weren't adding up. So I know personally that patriarchy is it's a trigger word for certain people, for many people.
Especially the witches.
Especially the witches. Witches don't like patriarchy. When we found that out, actually, as we were starting this podcast a year ago, and we're just in the planning stages, we were like, oh, well, there it is. So now just defining what I mean here, the attack on patriarchy. In this worldview, the husband is the capitalist, the wife is the working class in the home. Now, I am highly educated, and by that I mean I went through 8th grade, and then I got my GED. My wife she's a college lady. She's of the universities and very actually educated. She was even the president in her high school. And she's just very up there in education. But I'm willing to bet you didn't talk a lot about Marxism in any of it.
No.
What are they teaching these kids today? So as I was reading through the cold open there, did you make sense of what any of that was saying?
I'll be totally honest. That was really confusing.
Well, some of the words aren't even English, like bourgeois. And
yeah, as I pre-read that, I was like, I'm glad I'm not reading it.
The bourgeoisie. Now, what's very sad is, of course, I was not learning about Marxism and stuff in middle school, but I can pronounce bourgeoisie because it was in a very popular Madonna song in like the late 90s that was playing on the radio. And it was music makes the people come together, the bourgeoisie and the rebel. So as long as Madonna was pronouncing it correctly, then I'm confident that I was pronouncing it correctly. But I
should not have a lot of confidence.
No, I have actually looked more into this and listened to a lot of other people. So we could all be wrong. But bourgeoisie. This is actually, you will recognize this.
Bougie.
Bougie. That's where we get that word from, the bougie. So, knowing that that's where we get bougie from, what do you think the bourgeois is?
It just sounds like uppity.
Yes.
Like high maintenance, uppity, snotty.
It's the upper class. Yeah, exactly. And these are the way that Marx separated the classes. It was all based on an economic system. So he's talking about like those who control the product of the labor and the laborers themselves. So if I own the product of the labor, like I provide the trees and you cut them down and you make lumber, but I still own the lumber. You're just the worker. So then I get to go sell that lumber and then I make profit off of it. And my profit margin is obviously way higher. You just get a flat rate. You get an hourly rate. And I can even raise the rates that I sell the lumber at, and that doesn't change how much you make as an hourly wage employee. And so he says, well, that's wrong. You know, they did all the work. All you did was just give the wood, but you didn't actually do the work for it. So they deserve to be compensated, and they should actually be the owners of what it is that their work is producing. And since you didn't do the work for it, you shouldn't own it. And the way that we're going to do that is by instilling a government system that just distributes all the products of labor. So nobody owns anything. Nobody owns a company. Nobody owns the wood. Nobody owns the lumber. The government, society owns everything and then distributes based on how they feel like it.
That goes really well in movies.
Yes. Are you thinking of a particular example? I have one.
Well, we just watched through the Hunger Games, so.
Yes. That's an
extreme example, I guess.
Yeah. And that actually is like the depiction of those classist systems, which communism is saying the classism is bad and everybody just needs to band together. All the districts band together, overthrow the capitalists. And then you can have like happy land and nobody wants for anything. The end. So what does that have to do with husbands and wives in a patriarchal system? And what Marx was saying is that husbands in the home are the capitalists. They are the ones who control the money, control the wealth, but it's the wife at home that's doing all the work, and she doesn't have any control of the production of her labor. And so that's not fair. We need to free the wives from basically slavery to their husbands. So that was the first thing. Now, all of the Marxism stuff may sound foreign, but does that part sound modern to you?
I feel like we actually talked about that in one of our episodes where we kind of hit on some different things on social media we had seen, talking about the lie that women need to be financially independent of their husbands just in case they need to leave him for something. Or also the lie that being a mom, being a wife is not enough. It's not fulfilling. It's not, you don't get a paycheck, that it's not really a good use of your life, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah. As we were talking about this just now, I remembered actually a comment that we had on one of our YouTube videos, and it was on one of the clips where we were talking about kids paying attention and not being able to listen in class and all of this. And somebody commented on there and said, why would you want your children to listen in school? Schools are indoctrinating them and you gotta wake up and blah, blah, blah.
Then homeschool, yes.
I didn't go to high school. I don't think you know who you're talking to. I'm not that guy. So, agree? Oddly.
As a teacher, it's the idea that you trust the people that you are giving your children over to for a majority of the day.
Yeah.
And if you don't trust those people, why are you giving your child over to them?
Yes.
Homeschool them, send them to private school, sacrifice to put them in a safe place. If you can't trust the people you're giving your kids over to, but you continue to do it, that's nonsense.
Yeah, that is what we call bad parenting. So don't do that. So back to, you nailed it. That's exactly the modern lie that we're facing when it comes with wives in the home. You got to protect yourself. You're not safe. And even within the church, we've known couples that were like, well, we have separate bank accounts. It's like, my gosh, what? What do you mean you have separate bank accounts?
Like, these are my bills, these are his bills.
My goodness, yes. Like, that was crazy. Well, I want the cable, so that's on my side. I have to pay for that one. It's like, one, you don't need cable. Two, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Are you not one? This is so strange. But that is a lie that has taken a hold. And in small ways, and then sometimes in very big ways, has gotten into the church. So, number one, the attack on patriarchy. The husband is the capitalist, the wife is the working class in the home. Number two, the attack on parenting. He literally said this: children are the oppressed and parents are the oppressors. And it's so interesting because we talked about it last episode, how there are the lies that are like most convincing have some truth to them.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is also in the time of like sending kids to like workhouses, and they're basically like little child slaves that are working for pennies and forced to do this very hard manual labor, and they're starving and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, that's bad.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what is viewed as like, well, that's capitalism. Because, well, you can force these kids. They have to work in order to get any money to feed themselves, or some of them to try and feed their family. They need to work. And you, as this greedy capitalist monster, you're like, yeah, you'll come work in my factory, and I'll make you work really hard, and I'm not going to pay you barely anything. Yes, obviously, that's horrid. That's not Christian.
Mm-hmm.
That's not even like good capitalism. That is a self-destructive system. You don't get skilled labor that way. You don't get better products that way. You end up destroying the people that are working for you, and long term, you end up losing everything. Like, that doesn't work. But that was a reality in this time. But this is also the time of like enlightenment, and when people like post Nietzsche and all that stuff, rejection of religion, rejection of God. Nietzsche's the one that said God is dead, and we are the ones who have killed him, and his blood is on our hands, and all of this. And so this is in that time. It's not unrelated, and yet it was at that time. It was the Christians that were building hospitals, that were taking in orphans, that were starting Sunday school to teach children who were going and having to work in these factories. That's why Sunday school started, is because these kids had no other way of getting any kind of education. Mm-hmm. And so the church took it upon themselves to teach kids how to read. Mm-hmm. And the only day they could do it was the day the factories were closed, which is Sunday, which is how Sunday school started. It wasn't even, come here and we'll, talk about like the flood and Noah's Ark, and, it
wasn't like a deep dive into
paint
theology.
Some rainbows and stuff. They were using scripture to teach them to read. Mm-hmm. But it was that was how they got parents to send their kids, was like, we're going to give your kids a free education. Mm-hmm. Send them to church and we'll do it. That's the start of Sunday school. Marx, your dumb beard and your stupid hair. So you probably don't even know what he looks like.
I couldn't pick him out.
He's got a dumb beard,
saved my life.
but he has stupid hair. So that's pretty much all you need to know. You picture that, that's him. That's him. Yeah. So children are oppressed. Parents are the oppressor. The idea is the parents are forcing their kids to work, and the kids have to like serve for the home, and then they don't even get to use the money they don't even have. So who better than the parents to raise their children and to intervene? Whose responsibility is it to take up the plight of these children? The government. Solid choice. Lie number 3. The most subtle substitution. Through public education, public welfare, and public services, the state is daddy now. Because we have cut out the husband. Now the wife is turned against her husband. You're my oppressor. You're the capitalist, and I'm just the wage slave here. The children are turned against their parents, turned against their father, turned against their mother. But that just creates a vacuum. Nature abhors a vacuum. So who is the one that steps in? And the subtlety of this lie is all of these things sound very nice. Mm-hmm. Public education. Kids, no, you can't work. You can't go to work. Like, we're going to put age restrictions on that, so you can't go to work. And we're going to mandate that you have to go to public schools, government-run schools, and we will provide you an education for free. Sounds like a good. Public welfare. So, you, wife, you don't need to rely on your husband for income or provisions or your home or anything like that, because the communist state will come in and we will disperse the product of labor with everyone. And so you will have your fair share, and that we determine what you need, and you won't have to worry about that. So you don't have to stay with this capitalist pig that you call a husband. Public services. So all the things that you need, they'll be provided for, and we're going to provide the laborers, because they're not going to, decide what they want to do with their life, what they want to pursue or whatever. We're going to figure out, okay, what does society need? What roles need to be filled? And all right, you're the next 5 in line. I need 5 people. You're going over there. Now you are lumberjacks. You don't know anything about it? Don't care. You're a lumberjack, because we need lumberjacks. And you, big, strong, strapping man, we need people in IT. Go. That's the communism. But it frees the wife, it frees the children. They don't have to live under this oppression anymore. The men are being allocated to different works, and the labor is being distributed to everyone. And now, in place of the father, you got Big Daddy government. Do you see this one in our current society?
Yeah, I think I have this later in our notes, but there's a book that I read about a year ago by Dr. Ben Carson, and I'll quote him a little bit later, but he talks a lot about this. And we also have just seen this where basically people are being incentivized to live a certain way in order to become, like, the government has trained people to be dependent on the government, such as if a home has a father figure there, a woman receives less help from the government. Mm-hmm. And so they are incentivized to not have a father figure in the home in order to have services from the government.
Yeah.
Rather than, okay, you have fallen upon hard times, you guys are working together, you both are trying to find like a path forward. It almost penalizes people for having a traditional family in place. Yeah.
This is actually something, so again, I didn't go to high school for a reason. I did go to work and help provide for my family and stuff, because we were impoverished, and we did have an abusive and addicted stepdad who used all our money, burned everything, sold a bunch of stuff.
Was legitimately an oppressor.
Yeah, was legitimately an oppressor, and then left us high and dry. And so, I ended up getting a job and going to work, and pretty much from the time I was about 14, 15 years old, have been working since then. So, our family was on stuff like food stamps, and we were on Medicaid. Is it Medicaid or Medicare? It's Medicaid. I think Medicare is for the old people.
I never remember the difference.
But we were on that stuff. We had government assistance. We had WIC when my brothers were babies and all of that. So we did that. We even had have you heard the term government cheese?
Yes.
Have you ever had government cheese?
I don't think so.
Bless you. It's not good.
And probably not cheese.
You know what's weird? Food produced by government systems is bad. So that's surprising. I wouldn't have thought that would be the case. The government should be able to do things better, right? So I came from that type of a system, and exactly like you said, it's incentivized to stay because there's like these drop-offs where it's like, all right, yeah, you get full services up to here, which is just shy of making a decent living. And then once you make $1 above that, you lose these services. Mm-hmm. You have no health care. You have no food stamps or whatever. And you're all on your own. And that line is not one that you can usually sustain like a family on without great hardship and sacrifice, especially when it comes to like medical stuff, which is insane. Our medical system is way just inflated and it's horrible. And they know that. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, hey, if you stay under, if you don't, make too much money or pop out a few more babies, then you're fine. You can stay under the line and you keep getting all these services and you're good. Cross that line, you're done. And so it does incentivize people. And that was something like even when we first got married, again, we started off very low income. I was volunteering in ministry and working jobs that would allow me to give a lot of my time to the church.
And also allow me to finish school.
And allow you to finish college. And so weren't making a ton of money. And I was very adamantly against, like, I do not want food stamps. I do not want these things. And it was something that we struggled with for the first few years because it was like there's this legitimate need, but I was like, I hate it. I hate the system. and then also there's like a whole lot of shame that like when I was coming up, we used to have like the actual different colored bills that we had to go and pay with. It's like not real money. It's like you're going to the grocery store and you have to pay with Monopoly money.
I was just going to say that.
And everybody like the cash register, like she sees you. And I have a friend who he grew up similarly. And there was this girl that he liked that just happened to be working the cash register, and he had to go and pay with food stamps. And it was just this most humiliating experience. And I was like, I get that. It is. And now at least there's like this card, the EBT card and stuff. But yeah, it keeps you and it keeps you comfortable. And it's like, yeah, you don't have to worry. We'll take care of you. But it's a different type of slavery. Mm-hmm. So those are the lies. It sounds so good and it sounds so nice, but it's destructive and it's subtle because you don't recognize that you're in bondage, which is exactly the way that sin works, is that you don't realize you're a slave to sin until you want to get out and you can't. Yeah. When you're comfortable, when everything's working in your favor, sin tastes good for a season, but eventually it turns to sand in your mouth. And that's when you start to find out like this whole system is a lie. So
I feel like as a teacher, I also have more of an inside perspective on that as well, because I did teach in public school for 9 years.
Yeah.
And so even over the course of time from when I first started, I will say that principals can tend to be gatekeepers a little bit of the school. And I was very blessed to have an administrator that I trusted, that really cared about the kids, the quality of education. And she did everything she could to enable us to do what was best for kids and also try to have fidelity for what was being asked and required by the district.
Yeah.
Which is not an easy line to walk.
Especially in that time.
Goodness. And so I was very blessed in that. And I very much felt like the Lord was calling me to public school. And there were a lot of great teachers and people who really love kids and really good things that were happening. But over time, it was very much that subtle. And it's very interesting because I worked in also like a ESL high poverty school. So we got a ton of government money for things. And in the beginning, it was very helpful things, such as kids don't have money for school supplies. So we didn't require kids to bring any school supplies. Yeah. We were able to give them everything that they needed because that's truly a hardship for families who are already struggling. Even just buying a backpack. Like backpacks are expensive.
Yeah.
So in that way, that was like the good. And then over time, each year, something else would come in. It's like, yeah, I don't really know how I feel about that. Or just things like the iPad situation. I feel like that's a very easy one to just point to where it seemed like a good. We're going to donate all of these devices. Wonderful. These kids don't have access to these things. Some students genuinely, you have to type papers. You have to do whatever. You're struggling in math. Here's a great database game that you can use. Things like that. But over time, it became more and more to the point that before I left, students were being asked to be on devices for hours a day during school with their headphones on. This is not a human person teaching them. This is literally an AI robot teaching them to read.
Yeah.
And the system was terrible in the first place. But basically, we just became like tech. I'm just a tech I'm a tech support for a 5-year-old to help them with their iPad when it malfunctions every 5 seconds. But it very quickly turned into other things where in the beginning it seemed like a good gift. It reminds me of Troy, the Trojan horse.
Yeah.
You think this thing is a good gift.
Good reference.
Thanks. You think this thing is a good gift, and then as it opens, it's poison from the inside out, and you've already let it in. And so now it's like, to get it out, you have to admit that you are wrong, and then how do you remove it from all the ways that you've integrated?
Yeah.
And the admitting that you're wrong, that's not going to happen in the first place.
Oh, no.
So there was a lot of backtracking that would happen on certain things, but then other things where it was, we'll get this grant to help kids emotionally regulate. We'll get fidgets. We will have exercise instructors come in. And that very quickly turned into, we're doing Hindu practices in public schools without parental consent. And you can't, I was told that I'm not allowed to inform parents. I'm not allowed to send home a permission slip. And I'm not allowed to opt my class out.
Yeah. You could.
I personally, as an adult, could choose not to participate, but I had to sit in the room and supervise.
Yeah.
And they were doing mantras, and the training was being done at a Buddhist temple for the teachers.
Yeah.
But then we were being told, this is not a Buddhist thing. It has nothing to do with religion, but every training happened at a temple.
Weird how that happens.
Yeah.
And then also more government subsidy stuff or grants and things. You needed books, and you came to school one day and you had boxes of books for your kids.
And as a teacher, books are a wonderful gift. Kids are rough on books. These are brand new, hardcover, beautiful books. Every single one of them was either about becoming a Muslim, being transgender, or being a homosexual.
Yeah.
Every single one of them.
Worm Loves Worm, which also featured a fundamentalist religious person holding a book that looked like a Bible saying, "This can't be done." And one of the worms was saying, "Well, we're going to do it anyways because we love each other." And he says, "Oh, okay, I guess I was wrong."
Yeah.
For your kindergarten class.
Yeah, this was for kindergarten. And I worked at a large school, so we had 5 sections of kindergarten.
Yeah.
And so we're talking thousands of dollars invested in books.
Billions and billions.
And these were just dropped off to say, "We have some new books for you for your class." No explanation, nothing. And so for me as a teacher, if I didn't preview books before I put them out, I would have just put them out there because these are nice brand new books, and that's what a lot of teachers did.
Yep.
And so again, going back to that it's a lie, someone is going to determine what's happening.
Yeah.
And if you want it to be a random person you don't know, who you don't know their values, you don't know their agendas, you can choose to let it be the government, but I'm telling you it's ugly.
Yeah. Just so you guys know, the government is gay. Now, with all that being said, babe, let's dive into kingdom intelligence. Before we continue, if you want help applying these ideas to your family, we've created a free resource called the Family Battle Plan. It's a simple guide that helps you identify spiritual threats to your home and start building a strategy for protecting your family. You can download it for free in the link in the description. And I'll let you actually kick this one off because I know you've got some stuff you wanted to share on that. You already kind of hinted at some of it.
Sure.
Yeah.
John 10:10 says, "The thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy." So all we have to do as we're thinking about these different lies, because again, it goes back to that whole, like, are you guys just being weirdos, like attaching red strings to things and be like, it all makes sense. Just look at the fruit.
Yeah.
Look at the fruit of what is happening from people who are completely dependent on the government. Look at the fruit of public schools, and you decide for yourself. Is this good? Is this profitable? Is this actually helping people to have a better life, to be more productive citizens? And if that's not the case, this goes back to that everything is spiritual. The enemy has come to steal, kill, and destroy. He is not stupid. He has strategies and tactics. And it's not to say that my dad was in the military, so it's not to say every person who works for the government or every person in policy, they're all in on it.
Yeah, most military people would say, don't trust the government.
Yeah, so it's not to say, every single person is corrupt and this is their agenda. But if you are not serving the Lord, you are serving someone, and that someone is
the devil,
Satan, because you're in the kingdom of darkness. And so he can suggest things to you or even pitch things that's like, hey, you know what would be a great idea? Why don't we just do this? And it could start as a good thing, like the iPad situation. These poor kids, they don't have access to technology. How are they supposed to write papers?
Yeah.
That's a great idea. Why don't we just go ahead and grant those to them? That is a good thing that they need. And very quickly, it's the Trojan horse.
Yeah. Yeah. They take it in, and then the whole city is destroyed. So with this idea of, like, I hate that this is tied in with, politics and economics and all of that. But again, it's exactly what you just said. Everything is spiritual. And so it feels like it's so disconnected. Like, well, I thought this was a family and marriage podcast. Why are you guys talking about Marxism? Because it's trying to attack the family. It is directly stating that it wants to abolish the family. And so we have to recognize, like, the way that they're doing it is by using this economic terminology, using this oppressor terminology to try to turn the family against itself, to basically cannibalize itself from the inside out, so that then It's not that, oh, you're just free and you can do whatever you want and everything is, all at your fingertips. No, it just opens the door for this daddy government to come in and take that spot. And it feels so weird to think about these things in terms of government and family and whatever, because it feels like they should be so distinct, which they should. But the way that these systems work, they are not distinct. And the government, these communist theories, are in direct opposition to the family. So we have to have a biblical answer for this. And thankfully, the Bible is not silent on these issues. So I'm going to read a few different passages and we'll kind of break them down. 1 Timothy 5, 1 through 16. Do not rebuke an older man, but encourage him as you would a father, younger men as brothers, older women as mothers, younger women as sisters, in all purity. Honor widows who are truly widows. But if a widow has children or grandchildren, let them first learn to show godliness to their own household and to make some return to their parents, for this is pleasing in the sight of God. See who is truly a widow, left all alone, has set her hope on God, and continues in supplications and prayers night and day. But she who is self-indulgent and is dead even while she lives. But she who is self-indulgent is dead even while she lives. Command these things as well, so that they may be without reproach. But if anyone does not provide for his relatives, and especially for members of his household, he has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. Let a widow be enrolled if she is not less than 60 years of age, having been the wife of one husband, and having a reputation for good works. If she has brought up children, has shown hospitality, has washed the feet of the saints, has cared for the afflicted, and has devoted herself to every good work. But refuse to enroll younger widows, for when their passions draw them away from Christ, they desire to marry, and so incur condemnation for having abandoned their former faith. Besides that, they learn to be idlers, going about from house to house, and not only idlers, but also gossips and busybodies, saying what they should not. So I would have younger widows marry, bear children, manage their households, and give the adversary no occasion for slander. For some have already strayed after Satan. If any believing woman has relatives who are widows, let her care for them. Let the church not be burdened, so that it may care for those who are truly widows. So there's a lot in that section that is just like 1-2 punch to communism, which is just like in your face, Karl Marx, with your dumb hair and your stupid beard. So that should be our next shirt design. Karl Marx, dumb hair, stupid beard.
And witches hate the patriarchy.
Yeah. So stay tuned, guys. We'll have some more merch drops for you. But one thing I want to just directly draw our attention to is it says that the women who are taking advantage of the church, who are not doing what they ought to be doing, who are then, because they are not doing the things they ought to be doing, actually start straying into sin. It says they have already strayed after Satan. That these things are directly tied back to Satan himself. So when somebody says communism is satanic, they're not being hyperbolic any more than Paul is being hyperbolic. This is specifically saying, like, when you deny the doing the work that you ought to be doing. Mm-hmm. And even for women, like one of the things for women, it says, like, get married. If you're young enough to still get married and have a family, then get married. Don't be idle. Get married and start building that family and all of that. Now,
our kids wouldn't like this verse. They have made it very clear that if you ever die, they do not want me to get remarried.
Well, that's fine, because I'm never going to die.
Very adamantly. Have been told multiple multiple times.
Yes. So the plan is I'm never going to die. So we're good.
We just apparently have never read this.
Yeah. So, but then it says, if anyone does not provide for his relatives, and especially for members of his household, he has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. So, like, these are very strong terms. It's basically saying, like, if you aren't taking care of your family, if you aren't working to provide for your family, if you aren't using the strength that God has given you as a man to go out and produce and provide for your family, you are not just somebody who is lazy or, dumb or whatever. You have denied the faith. So, how do you think those two things would tie together? Like, just as you hear this, as you read this, how would you tie those things together? Or do you see like how Paul makes that connection? What do you think?
About denying the faith?
Denying the faith as somebody who, a man who is not working to provide for his family.
Well, I don't know if people would hear this and push back on, well, there are circumstances in which this isn't the case, which I would say that you and I have been in different circumstances where I made more money than you, but you always were working and taking care of our family. You were never just, and I will just say this because even if there was pushback, I believe it. The videos that I see of like the stay-at-home husband when you don't have children is absurd.
Yep.
I'm sorry. If you have children and you're in a season where your wife is working and you are not for a circumstance, I feel like there's grace for that.
Yeah.
And there's seasons where those things might happen,
you
especially
get laid off, your career, the company folds or whatever. You can't control everything.
Yeah. Or even for me, when I was going to school to be a teacher, I had said, I want to be a teacher. This is a desire I have in my heart. You're going to do ministry. And so I made more money than you, but that didn't make me have the pressure of taking care of our family.
Yeah.
And if it came down to it where there was like a financial crisis or something like that, you would be the one to take on a second job, or you would be the one to do these things.
Or third or fourth.
Sure. But there was a season where, for example, I could teach summer school and make just as much as I would make in a school year.
Billions and billions.
Summer school is where it's at. Where I could make money to pay off college debt or things like that. So I feel like people could push back and be like, well, it doesn't really mean that. But I feel like this is more talking about that idea in my mind was like the stay-at-home husband who's like, and then I prep my wife's smoothie and then I take a nap and go for a walk. It's like, okay, why are you doing those things? It's different if you have a purpose and you're being productive. I'm in school, or I have a physical disability. Genuine things that make it so that this is your circumstance. But
even most disabilities, many disabilities, there is still work that you can do. We don't live in an agrarian society anymore where it's like you have to go out and work the fields or go into the woods and cut down trees or be like a stonemason and things like that. It's like you can work on a computer and you can even work part-time on a computer and you can make good money doing that.
Yeah.
It's not about finding all the reasons of, I can't do that. Well, what can you do?
Yeah.
And
because the Bible even talks about if you don't work, you shouldn't eat.
That.
I don't know if I'm jumping ahead in that. Sorry.
No. That's actually right in my next passage.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I was recently talking to a parent about this, and it was very refreshing to hear them say that, because that's a true thing where I didn't get allowance when I was growing up, and our kids don't get allowance, and they have jobs that they're responsible for that are
Sorry,
very
Dave Ramsey.
developmentally appropriate for them, but they can start having chores very young. And people might look at that and say, well, that's not right because they're working and they're not getting paid. They have a home to live in for free. They have air conditioning. They have clothes that they don't pay for. They have food. They go to birthday parties and give gifts to their friends that they didn't buy.
Yeah.
So they are getting paid. They're just not getting paid the amount that they would get paid at a job that wouldn't cover all of the things that they're being given by their parents. So even children should have responsibilities, and it actually makes them feel like a part of the family.
Yeah.
And in a very weird way, we were at Target the other day, and do you want me to not say that?
That we were at Target? It is a shame.
We did boycott for a long time.
I still
To
boycott.
Jerrod's shame, we were at Target.
I still boycott.
You can cut it out if you want. Anyways, we were at the store, and...
Only because they're gay.
We were at the store, and there were all these Barbies. And it's just funny because the things that they put as, like, this is play. They had a pooper scooper Barbie with actual little plastic pieces of poop and a trash can so that you could practice scooping it up. And it's like, why would any kid want to play with this doll? But kids do see work as... It's fun for them if you...
There's a reason that there's toy vacuum cleaners for babies.
Or like how young kids, like young girls, how Kaya, she has a baby doll named Ashley. And she made me in the car feed her on our road trip. And then she told me she couldn't go to sleep because she hadn't been burped yet. There's a reason why these things that for us as adults, it's like, oh, this is like a drudgery, that for kids, it's like, can I help you mix? Can I help you clean the bathroom? They want to do everything you're doing because there's value. You're a productive member of the family.
Yeah.
You have a purpose. You belong.
Yeah.
And so as a man, if you're just a stay-at-home husband, you don't have children, you don't have a legitimate reason, you aren't doing those things, to me, it is like one of those, I'm feminizing the man, but also I don't understand how you can feel fulfilled if you aren't doing something good and productive with your life.
You can't, because you're made to.
Yeah.
And that is that idleness. It's sinful, because this is where it's a denial of the faith. This is where it starts to move into a place of like, you're not just, off for a season or whatever. Like, you actually are denying the faith, and you're worse than an unbeliever. Because by nature, we know men are stronger than women. Physically,
I'm totally stronger than Jerrod.
No. That's never been a thing.
The listeners don't know. They can't see.
That's never been a thing in our marriage. Like, we have never been like, I'm just as you. No.
I'm 5 feet tall.
She's 5 feet tall.
So,
I bench press more than her body by quite a bit. And can you do the bar?
Not going to answer that. Yes, I can do the bar. I have also suffered from some traumatic injuries.
Yes.
So
I'm just saying, like,
in my prime,
it's not close. But just naturally, it's evident. And it's a weird thing in our culture. It's a satanic thing in our culture that is trying to force this idea that men and women are exactly the same, completely interchangeable, except that women are better. Like, that's literally what it is.
Like the fact, and it goes very deep to this like weird, crazy place of like, you can't even say breastfeeding anymore. They call it like a chest feeding. Only women can breastfeed. A man can't breastfeed a child. So you don't need to say that. You just, birthing person. Only a woman can birth a child.
So dumb.
So when we say crazy town, This is the world we
It's
live in.
like so stuff like this is all direct downstream of like this whole satanic Marxist stuff. It would be very interesting to get his take on like how things panned out.
Like where it is
Like,
now.
These are your kids, Marx.
Did that go how you thought it would?
He's
Nope.
like, woof.
Whoopsie daisy.
So anyways, this is where it gets into just a denying of the faith, because if you deny nature itself, if you deny reality itself, what you're saying is that you supersede God, that you are now taking the place of God, and you get to determine based off of your feelings, your thoughts, your opinions, what is right and good. Mm-hmm. And to say like, yes, just in the most basic things, like I am strong, I am a man, I am capable, but it's not my responsibility to take care of my wife and kids. You are worse than an unbeliever, according to Paul. You are a whole pile of crap. And that does speak to a lot of the deadbeat dads in our culture. If you're watching, that does. And here's the thing, child support does not equate to fatherhood. There is no amount of money that you can send across the country that is going to replace or be enough to validate your absence in your child's life.
Financially or emotionally.
Yeah, you could be a bajillionaire and you can send your kid $1 bajillion every year, and that will not replace the father. And so it's not just the finances, it is your presence, your fathering, your discipleship, your presence in their life. So to do that is to be a denier of the faith and worse than an unbeliever. And Paul has some very strong words for you. So I am going to move forward. Next, this is 2 Thessalonians. That was 1 Timothy first. This is 2 Thessalonians 3, 6 through 12. Now we command you, brothers, in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, that you keep away from any brother who is walking in idleness and not in accord with the tradition that you received from us. For you yourselves know how you ought to imitate us, because we were not idle when we were with you, nor did we eat anyone's bread without paying for it. But with toil and labor we worked night and day, that we might not be a burden to any of you. It was not because we do not have that right, but to give you and ourselves an example to imitate. For even when we were with you, we would give you this command: if anyone is not willing to work, let him not eat. For we hear that some among you walk in idleness, not busy at work, but busy bodies. Now such persons we command and encourage in the Lord Jesus Christ to do their work quietly and to earn their own living. No freeloaders in the kingdom.
I was like, boom, roasted.
Boom, roasted. Exactly. Man, he's knocking them out, dude.
I say we don't even really have to expound on that one.
Right? Because that, like, literally, it's like he foresaw the Communist Manifesto. And for all of you idiots who say that Jesus is a communist, this is dumb, okay? Jesus is not a communist. And in fact, one, if you don't work, you don't eat. Two, specifically, he's even talking about, gets right down to it, where you say, nor did we eat anyone's bread without paying for it. Like, we worked, we toiled, We labored so we could make our own money so that then we could turn around and buy the things that we need so we are not a burden on anyone else. He's not a socialist. This is Paul speaking, but he says, "We command you, brothers, in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ." He can't get any clearer, any more direct, any heavier. He's laying it on as thick as possible. If you don't work, you don't eat. Proverbs 13:22. And this comes back to the idea of dismantling the family so that you don't own your own things. You don't own your own house. Like one of the great things about owning your own home is that you are building up an investment that then as your children grow up, like you buy a house that can fit your family as they're growing. But when we're older, we're not going to need a multi-bedroom house or whatever, unless we start having grandkids right away, which, maybe it could happen. But either way, you don't necessarily need as much, so you can downsize your home a little bit, and you can start to give that money to your family and help your kids establish their own home. Or maybe we could sell our house to one of our kids and they could start building
or they can live at home.
They could stay with us until they are established and they can move out and get married and start their families and all. Like we can be a blessing to our kids in a way that you can't when you're renting. And notice, going back to that Communist Manifesto, they want everyone to be a renter and for all the rent to be paid to the government. Which, again, look at all of these. They're private companies, but companies that are subsidized and make these, sweetheart deals with government officials to be able to buy residential properties and then rent them instead of selling them because they can raise the prices artificially. They can afford to buy this house at 2 or 3 times what it's actually valued at, so that then nobody else can afford to outbid them. They get to buy the home, and now nobody gets to own the home. You have to rent it from these companies who are actually just shadow entities from government officials and kickbacks and all that stuff. It's happening. It's already here. And Proverbs 13:22 says, "A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children." If you have no way of building up, again, owning your own home is one of the best ways to build wealth. It is one of the best ways to establish wealth. And we've even experienced this because when we bought our first house, we bought the best house that we could get on the budget that we had, and then we did a lot of work to it and sold it, and we made a profit. We're able to get the house we're currently in. And even since we lived in this house, it's insane what the market has done. And it's like sinfully shameful what the market has done. But because we were able to make those investments and get ahead of it, now we do have the potential of being able to be that blessing to our children and continue to build family wealth that can be passed down generationally. And that's what a good man does. Leaves an inheritance to his children, but the sinner's wealth is laid up for the righteous. Proverbs 27:23-27. Know well the condition of your flocks and give attention to your herds, for riches do not last forever, and does a crown endure to all generations? When the grass is gone and the new growth appears and the vegetation of the mountains is gathered, the lambs will provide your clothing and the goats the price of a field. There will be enough goat's milk for your food, for the food of your household and maintenance of your girls. So again, this is talking about being a good and wise steward. And if you don't own any of these things, you have no protection when things go bad. Riches don't last forever. There are times where the economy is just terrible. And
where you pay $6 a pound for ground beef.
Yeah, or $5 for a dozen eggs.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, which is not that long ago
Right.
for us. And depending on government policy, can very quickly come right back again. And that's something that we would talk about, like the stress and the pressure that it puts on us. And I was like, as bad as all of this seems right now, we actually are in a much better position than a lot of people because we have a house.
Yeah.
Because we have equity.
Assets.
We have assets. And that's exactly what he's saying here. When the grass is gone, and the lambs will provide your clothing. That the goats, the price of the field. So it's saying the things that you have, those will be the things that sustain you when those drought seasons come. Mm-hmm. And this is just good economics. This is just good family economics, home economics. This makes sense, is that you are investing in things in your home that can help sustain you. And even not buying outside of your means is one of those things. Not buying a home that you're going to get upside down on very quickly. Because then when the economy turns, now all of a sudden you owe more than the house is worth. And you end up losing not just the equity that you built, but you lose the home too. Mm-hmm. And so, again, you have to make wise financial decisions, be good stewards. And then, coming back to the wife, Proverbs 31 is a great example. She is not in contention with her husband. She is not working against her husband. She's not even making a name for herself. She is making her husband's name great. An excellent wife, who can find? She is far more precious than jewels. The heart of her husband trusts in her, and he will have no lack of gain. She does him good and not harm all the days of her life. She seeks wool and flax and works with willing hands. She works with willing hands. She is like the ships of the merchant. She brings her food from afar. She rises while it is yet night and provides food for her household and portions for her maidens. She considers a field and buys it. With the fruit of her hands, she plants a vineyard. She dresses herself with strength and makes her arms strong. She perceives that her merchandise is profitable. Her lamp does not go out at night. She puts her hands to the distaff, and her hands hold the spindle. She opens her hand to the poor and reaches out her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of snow for her household, for all her household are clothed in scarlet. She makes bed coverings for herself. Her clothing is fine linen and purple. Her husband is known in the gates when he sits among the elders of the land. She makes linen garments and sells them. She delivers sashes to the merchant. Strength and dignity are her clothing, and she laughs at the time to come. She opens her mouth with wisdom, and the teaching of kindness is on her tongue. She looks well to the ways of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children rise up and call her blessed. Her husband also, and he praises her. Many women have done excellently, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceitful, and beauty is vain, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her works praise her in the gates. Is she her husband's slave?
I was just thinking that this is a great passage for people to read if they're really wrestling with the idea of submission, that, or even just being a wife and a mother in the home, that is giving something up, or that it's a lesser calling. Mm-hmm. Because this is a very popular, like well-known passage of like the Proverbs 31 woman. But I don't feel like maybe...
Girl boss is the way it's interpreted now.
Oh. Was not aware of
that. Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like it talks a lot about like how she is not just productive.
Yeah.
But that she is a blessing, and that she is praised by her husband.
And her children.
Yeah. That people think highly of her, and that's not the picture that we have when we think about women being mothers and homemakers.
Well, what's very interesting here is that she's doing all this work. Her husband is he is recognized because of her work. He is recognized when he walks amongst the elders in the city. And then it's her husband that turns around and says, many women have done excellently, but you surpass them all. So she is not working for her own name's sake. She is not building her own little mini kingdom and having her own money on the side here. She is building her husband's kingdom and making him look really good in front of everybody. And then in turn, he's not standing there like, yes, give it all to me and you just keep working. He's not lording over her, domineering or anything like that. He's saying, no, like, look at you. You surpass everyone. Like the children are like, they rise up and call her blessed. And that's the thing, is that a lot of women, I recognize, they are seeking that affirmation and that approval from everyone else outside. They need to be validated by, like, you mentioned it a few weeks ago, saying like, just a mom. Like, that's shameful. And so it's like, well, I can't just be that. I need to be something else. I need to have, I'm a lawyer, I'm a teacher, I'm a doctor, whatever. But that's not good enough. I'm a wife, I'm a mother. And so women today have bought into that lie. Like, you need to go and make your own name outside of your house, outside of your husband, and you need to establish yourself. And you're going to get the validation that you need from people outside of your own home. She, on the other hand, the Proverbs 31 wife, is doing all of these great things, and recognize, like, she's even doing like enterprising work. She is establishing basically like her own income streams, which is not a bad thing. And so on the flip side, for a lot of like hyper patriarchal people, like, she cannot make any money. She must stay in the home. She must never be seen or spoken to or whatever. No, that's not biblical either. Like, the Proverbs 31 wife, she is able to use her gifts, use her wisdom, and go out and turn a profit and use those things that she has to actually make money for the household. That's a great thing. And so it's not that extreme, like, she can never make any money, she can never whatever. But I would say there's a difference between your wife, like, just having a job versus like actually having her own business ventures, where like the Proverbs 31 wife, she's not just working for other people, she is establishing and building her own businesses and making money off of those things. And so I would even see that as being like a better thing, because she doesn't have to answer to some other dude, which is good. And so she's doing these things, and then that validation doesn't come from all the other people. They look at her husband and are like, man, you're awesome. Look at your family. Look at all these amazing things. And the husband's like, look at my wife. She is awesome. Look at you. You're amazing. And the validation that she needs, which is a real legitimate need. It's not like, oh, she's just needy and whiny or whatever. No, it's real. Like, you should, as a husband, you should validate your wife. You should affirm your wife. And she shouldn't have any doubt about the way that you see her on your end. There's lots of opportunity for the enemy to get in and sow distrust or doubt or whatever because of insecurities on her end. You can't always control that, but for your part, husbands, you should be speaking life to your wife every single chance that you get, and that is where she is filled.
I was going to say, this gives your wife ammunition to fight those types of attacks, because having a conversation with my daughter earlier about how she would view herself as not very, as meh, is what she said.
She's 8.
Yeah. But for me, my boys hear dad say every day that I'm pretty.
Mm-hmm.
And so to them,
multiple times.
I just woke up, my hair looks ridiculous. And Emery's like, Mom, you're looking really pretty today. And I just think, have some standards. Like, just, are your glasses on? Like, what's happening here? But they see that modeled. And for me, when I have those days where I think I'm not a good spouse, I'm not, like, I don't look nice today, whatever. Or
even, like, because of, like, physical stuff where it's like, I can't do much today.
Literally can't even get ice out of the fridge.
Yeah.
Yeah, my neck's a whole hot mess right now. But I have a mountain of evidence, and the word I had thought of was ammunition. I don't know if I already said that. I have a mountain of that, so that when the enemy comes to me and says things like, your husband could find better, I know in my mind he doesn't think that.
Yeah.
He's not looking for that. That helps me to know that's just my flesh being crazy, and it helps to curb those things.
Yeah.
And it's very helpful for me to know that I don't have to wonder if that's true.
So these are, again, just a few passages that are reiterating just the centrality of the family, the centrality of the family economic system, and saying, like, everybody being a part of this is actually a good thing. And the wife is not the slave. The children are not oppressed. And in fact, even when we read earlier about like the widow, he says, doesn't she have sons? Doesn't she have family that can take care of her? Like, that's their responsibility. She's not oppressing them. She's not imposing on them. Like, that should be their way of honoring their mother. And it's obvious. It's like what's even going on? Why would she be coming to the church and asking for a charitable donation from the church when she has family that can take care of her and should and ought to take care of her, ought to honor their mother in this way? And that's a good thing. And again, culturally, we see this type of stuff, and we've bought into these ideas of, family is a burden, and even in my own household are a burden, and can't wait till they're 18, get them out of the house and all that garbage, or for the kids to their parents. I can't wait till I'm 18. I can't wait till I'm on my own. I don't want to be under your roof anymore. And the Bible says, like, Christ, he turns the hearts of the fathers to their children and the hearts of the children to their fathers. The Messiah, when he comes, this is what he will do. Like, again, this is how, like, if we're not doing this, it's a denial of the faith. You're worse than an unbeliever, because these are natural goods that should just be, like, even a pagan can do it. It's the old Geico commercials. So easy, even a caveman could do it. This is so obvious and so clear. Even pagans do these things. And so as a Christian, if you refuse these things, you're worse than an unbeliever. So earlier, I don't want to skip over it, because you did bring up that book from Ben Carson,
The Perilous Fight.
Yeah. So can you share a little bit on that?
So this book talks about the breakdown of the family and how that affects society. I read this book about a year ago. Highly recommend it. And he talks about how this breakdown is intentional. We talked about that earlier, just about it being a demonic strategic thing. And just wanted to read a quote from him where he says, "In so many ways, the socialist wave of the 20th century remains the greatest catastrophe in human history. You might wonder then, how could such an ineffective wave actually be a threat to American families, let alone to America itself?" So the premise of the book, he's talking about like America as a country. Good question. The answer is both simple and frightening. During the height of the communist influence and power in the middle of the 20th century, plans were put in place for a socialist takeover of the United States. This takeover would not be accomplished by military might or economic power. In fact, this takeover was not planned as a takeover per se, in which an outside force would dominate America into accepting a socialist way of life. Instead, this takeover was designed to occur from within. So that kind of goes back to the idea of the Trojan horse thing.
Yeah.
And he goes on later to cite a book that I actually have not read. I don't recommend books that I have not fully read because I can't say.
And it has a very explicit title.
It's called The Naked Communist.
Naked.
Which we were talking about earlier, and then we just slip it into conversation. This was written by a former FBI agent. Don't know how to.
Leon Skousen.
Yeah.
He sounds very
reputable.
Yeah, not European.
But this book records details of the communist movement from the 1900s and outlined 45 of the current communist goals at that time that were being set in motion for the ideological capture of our country. And the first time I read these, I didn't actually get goosebumps, but it's chilling how precise this is. And what?
I just think it's funny that you clarify, like, I didn't actually get goosebumps because you're just such an honest person. That would be
disingenuous.
I know. I don't want you guys to think that I literally got goosebumps.
I was reading this while waiting to see a knee specialist. But anyways, so it's chilling because it's basically like just describing what our culture in America is like today.
Yeah.
And so just reading a couple of those, these were their goals that were stated as these are things that we are intentionally trying to do to undermine the culture, to basically Trojan horse. Things like breaking down cultural standards of morality by promoting pornography and obscenity in media. That includes books, TV, radio. Replacing revealed religion with social religion, meaning that churches would become primarily humanitarian, seeking to alleviate physical suffering, and it's specifically mentioned without beating people over the head with the gospel. So removing the gospel from the church and basically making it about like saving your sad little cat.
Yeah. Your sad little cat. What church are you going to?
It's like the Sarah McLachlan.
Yeah.
There are starving cats. Eliminating prayer from schools, which is already done. Emphasizing the need to raise children away from their parents, already being done. Even things like eliminating all good sculptures from parks and buildings and substituting shapeless, awkward, meaningless forms. You literally can't make this stuff up.
I want you guys to look up, like stop the video, look up Council Bluffs, Iowa sculptures.
This is a thorn in Jerrod's side.
Now that you're back and you've seen what I'm talking about, that's it. And that's why Council Bluffs is the way that it is. Commies. So
yeah, that's intentional. It's intentional. And I saw something recently that was talking about like comparing, these are the buildings we used to build. These are the buildings we build now. These are the types of things we used to have. These are the types of things we have now. And you don't realize how sterile they are because that's just very normal. Even I would say the minimalist movement where like, it's the whole joke of, for those of us who grew up in like 80s, 90s where nothing matched and it was very hodgepodgey, it's like, I do understand that, and I do want things to match, and I also hate seeing things out. Like, that's why we have drawers with doors. But to the point that...
She's a rapper. Drawers with doors.
Also disingenuous. I'm not a rapper. But to the point that if you walk into a home, it shouldn't feel like you walked into a dentist office.
Yeah, it should feel warm.
Yeah.
And I think that book was written in 1958.
The Naked Communist.
Yeah.
Not The Perilous Babe.
Yeah, that one. That was Ben Carson, so not 1958. But yeah, The Naked Communist was written in 1958. And to so clearly, it doesn't, it's not a prediction.
Right.
Because it's saying these are their plans.
Right.
So it's not like, oh, it's prophetic or whatever. It's saying, no, these are their plans. This is what they're wanting to do and how they're going to do it. And then now in 2026, about 70 years later,
you can just go down and check off the whole list.
It's just, oh, they did it. Hey, look at that. It actually, but the thing is, look up The Naked Communist online, and there's all these rebuttals of like, he didn't really mean it that way, and oh, it's a little spurious, you can't trust, whatever.
Then why is it true?
Did it happen, though?
Yeah.
It did.
Like, if somebody sat down and wrote that book today, it'd be like, okay, well, that's a little weird and suspicious. Like, you're just saying what happened. You're just a conspiracy theorist pulling the thread and guy. But if he wrote it back then, how would he have any way of knowing that these are things that are underlying?
Almost as if they weren't trying to hide it. Almost as if they had written an entire manifesto and then publicly released that manifesto and said, this is what we want to do with my dumb beard and stupid hair.
No one said that.
Karl Marx said that with his dumb beard, stupid hair. So these are, again, just some of those ways that we've seen in our culture that there's this clear attack, and the Bible is clear that this is evil. You are following in the path of Satan. You are worse than an unbeliever. You have abandoned the faith. Like, this is so clear. You cannot get around this. There is no such thing as a Christian communist. There are very foolish Christians who don't understand Christianity, and so they think they're communist, and they are in dire need of discipleship. There are communists who want to subvert the true Jesus and try to make a false Christ and say, see, this is what Jesus really would have done. He would do social justice. And it would make sense, like, if they had put that in their plans way back then, that's what they wanted to do. Oh, wait, they did. It's literally in there. Go read the book for yourself. We're not recommending it.
Because we haven't read it.
Because we haven't read it. I did read the synopsis, and I did read reviews, and I did read critiques. But I just didn't have the book, so I will read it. Sounds like a good one. So, you ready for mission objectives? This is where we take that long view of like, okay, we've seen where we're at. So what is the goal? What are we working towards? Like, what is the good direction for us to go in? And our goal is to rebuild our families from the biblical framework, not the Marxist false gospel. So, one thing I want to point out just at the top here, patriarchy was cited by name in the Marxist Communist Manifesto. And it was seen as antithetical to communism. That's not a coincidence. And again, like you said earlier, witches hate patriarchy. Communists hate patriarchy. Feminists hate patriarchy. Democrats hate patriarchy. Republicans often hate patriarchy.
Even when you first started talking about that and using that term in the house.
Ilorra hated patriarchy.
I wouldn't say I hated it, but it was more just like, are you getting on a train? Like, what is happening?
Yeah. Because, again, we are 70 years in on the plan here. We have been swimming in commie waters for a while. So exactly. We have been so inundated with this communist indoctrination in America, in the church. We have been in these weakened, softened, not gospel focused churches, and even for us, it's like we did go to a church that preached the gospel, preached the Bible, but was also a mixed bag. And to say, like, one of the things that I used to really hate, even when I was on staff and stuff, was this whole idea of, you can't say anything too political because you can lose your tax exempt status. That is actually one of the reasons that we did not establish this as a 501c3, as a nonprofit. And we were advised, like, people were like, yeah, you could totally, like, it's a ministry. You could totally do that. But no, we're not going to do that, because I am not going to tiptoe around things that need to be said just so we can keep our tax exempt status. That goes back to that poverty mentality with all of the government subsidies, all the government welfare, and all that kind of junk. Hey. Don't go too far. Don't make too much money.
We'll give you this tax break, but then we can put you on a leash.
Yep. Oh, you don't have to pay taxes here, but if you say something, that all goes away. We're not going to play that game. Yeah. And so we that's one of the reasons we started this podcast the way that we did, as a legitimate LLC, because we're not going to be beholden to anybody, any government, and we're going to say some stuff that people won't like. And especially as things continue and there's more of a democratic socialist. Do you know who that is? It was a great impression. They'll know. Bernie Sanders. I come to you today to ask for more of your money. I don't want to have to sell one of my houses. Got to fund my campaign. Dude's crazy. But to his credit, I think he is one of the politicians who mostly believes the crap he says. Not to the extent that he would, pay his own bills. But, like, I do think that he is, like, fully bought into this socialist garbage. A lot of them are just like, we are literally demons, and we want to rule the world, and we will say anything to get elected. So that's not good. Those aren't good people. And Hillary Clinton may not be one of them, but maybe. I'm just saying. Not saying anything. Could be anyone, but probably her. So, and we can say that because LLC. So, again, patriarchy was established as being antithetical to communism, and Christianity is inherently patriarchal because we are all under our Father, who is our ruler, who is our authority. That is what patriarchy means. It means father rule. And so God, the Father, is the ultimate head, and then that's modeled in the father rule in the home. And when the father is leading rightly, when he is in right submission to God, his Father, then his family flourishes, and it's beautiful. That's the way that it's meant to go. And so to disrupt that and to say, like, no, you cannot be patriarchal, communism is antithetical to that. It's actually not aimed just at the father. It is aimed at the Father. So that's not a coincidence. That means that as Christians, we have to get a lot more hardcore in our terminology.
You're not hardcore.
You're not hardcore unless you live hardcore. And the legend of the patriarch was way hardcore.
You can put that on a shirt.
Ayo. So we have to reestablish the patriarchal ideal within the church as a non-negotiable. Like that, we just have to force the terminology, and it's going to burn, just like when you put antiseptic on a cut and you don't want it, you don't like it, and the kids hate, like, no, do we have to use this? Like, yeah.
If you're struggling with that, and maybe this is new, we do have a whole, I don't know if it's our submission episode, where we do a lot of unpacking, like what does this term mean in culture? What does it actually mean? What does this look like in the home? What does the Bible say that it is?
Yeah.
So if that's something that's new to you and you haven't listened to that episode, that might be helpful to you.
See our published works. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is one of the big mission objectives that we have to get back, is reestablishing the ideal of patriarchy within the church. We got to have it. And the next mission objective is that the Christian home should be a blessing. So one of the critiques, and oftentimes valid critiques, of patriarchy and capitalism is the abusive side of it. Yes, there is danger and there is risk in submitting to authority when there are so many wicked authorities. There is risk. And so, number one, this goes back to, like, make wise choices and don't settle, don't compromise in your values, and get wise counsel, involve your parents, like all of those things before you.
Are you talking about choosing a spouse?
Yeah.
Like choose wisely.
Yeah, choose wisely before you get married.
Can I add something to that?
Yes.
I feel like a lot of times in counseling women, the person that you married is the person that you married. When these different situations start occurring, there are situations where you marry somebody and they're just like totally not who they presented to be. But I would say that that's rare, like not super common. The things that are presenting are things that there were red flags.
Yeah.
Many red flags before you got married.
Yeah.
And sadly, I feel that I have had lots of conversations with like friends of people who are married to somebody. Well, they would say, you know, I tried to talk to them about this before they got married, and I feel very sad for them, but he was already doing this before they got married.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't be a shocker that the person that you're dealing with now is the same person. It's the same behaviors that you were dealing with before, but you just thought, well, we'll get married and it'll get better, or, you know, he'll love me so much that this addiction will go away, or whatever. You buy into these lies, and you have to make a good choice. That's not to say that if somebody's in a bad marriage, like, oh, it's your fault.
Yeah.
But we do have a choice in the person that we're marrying. And if you see red flags in someone, get help.
Yeah.
Don't get married. Even if you're already engaged, the idea of I have to postpone my wedding, like that would be so embarrassing to have to put something out and say, hey, like we're not ready, or this person, like, even just to say, if you get all that way, I would hope that you would not get all that way, but then realize like this isn't going to work.
Yeah.
Or you need to deal with some sin, or whatever the situation would be, that you would be willing to go that far rather than say, well, we already put out the invitations, or we're already engaged.
Yeah.
This is the rest of your life. And so
But do you know how much invitations cost?
A lot of money. Unless you did an email invite.
Ayo.
But yeah, a lot of times that is a hard thing as a friend on the other side, sitting there with somebody who's broken because they're in a difficult marriage with somebody that they don't trust. And just feeling that hardship of not wanting to say, is this really so different from who they were before? because a lot of times the answer is no, and that's hard.
Yeah. And so you have to establish, like, on the front end, like, make wise choices here. And it is hard because involving your parents in that decision and involving, like, pastoral counsel and all of this, nobody takes this stuff very seriously. I have a friend who is one of his points of, like, high frustration.
I would say grief also.
Grief, yeah, was, like, they did the whole premarital counseling and all of that. And he was like, they should not have let us get married. And you know, thank God that they are now in a very good and healthy place. But it took a long time and a lot of work.
Hard work. And
a lot of hurt
yeah.
that didn't need to be there. But everybody's just like, you're good. You're young. It's all good. You're fine. You know, you guys love Jesus.
That was that saying of, they're solid.
Yeah.
They're solid.
There's nothing to worry about.
Like, we don't need to meet with you. We don't need to ask questions. We don't need to dig into the sin issue. You guys are solid.
Yeah.
That's nonsense.
So we need to just rebuild as a church. Like, we got to take this stuff a lot more seriously. And that goes back to what I was saying. Like, the Christian home should be a blessing first to the people in that home. And so, husbands, you should be a blessing to your wife. Wives, you should be a blessing to your husband. Fathers, you should be a blessing to your children. Children, you should be a blessing to your father. Mothers, be a blessing to your children. Children, be a blessing to your mother. We should bless one another. We should, there should be no doubt that everyone is grateful and appreciative and recognizes, like, no, obviously, like, this is my family. My family loves me. I love my family. Like, just, you shouldn't even have to wrestle with that. Like, even in the, like, worst moments of, like, dealing with discipline or difficult seasons in our kids' lives, they've always known that we love them, and they've never doubted that, like, for a minute. And that is such an anchor, especially with all the junk that kids are facing these days and all the lies that they are exposed to, that even as parents, like, being proactive and not allowing screens, not allowing them to have their own devices and be online and all this stuff, there's still so much that you can't catch everything. And so there still are difficulties that we've had to walk through. And even with those things, they're like, no, I know my dad loves me. I know my mom loves me. And that is such an anchor for them. So we should be a blessing first to our families. Remember, Paul said that if you don't provide for those in your home, like, first for those in your home, then you're worse than a non-believer. Like, that's just the obvious. That's the 101. But then that blessing should be so abundant that it flows outward. And this is where we get to be the lighthouse on the hill as a family. And people look and see, like, man, your family is just different. And sometimes that blessing is financially blessing other people. And there have been seasons where we've been able to do that for other people, sometimes directly, and they knew about it. And then other times they didn't know about it at all. They had no idea where it was coming from. But there are many times where we've been able to do that. And there are many times when we've been the recipients of blessing from other people. And so we should be, like, if we are a Christian household, we should be a blessing to more than just our household. Even to the point where it's like, I've seen our kids be encouragers to their friends or challenge their friends and hold their friends accountable or uplift them or provide for them or whatever. And that's been like, they are learning to be blessings. And to the point where they're not thinking like, I want to be a blessing today. It's like, it's the nature of the family.
Okay, and I were talking about that today because we might have talked about this before on a previous episode, but she, when she was younger, really struggled with being very, what was it called? All about yourself.
Selfish? Self-centered?
Self-centered. She's the youngest, only girl, and she just really struggled even with sharing toys, like if her cousins would come over, and it was something that we saw as like, this is bad fruit, and addressed it very sternly. And it only took a few times of us, like, where basically we said, this object, you love this object more than you love your cousin. And if that's the case, what does the Bible say about what we do with things that are sin? We cut them off.
Yeah.
And so your options are either you can share, or this toy doesn't have a place in our home anymore. And we've had to throw toys away. Like, say it and mean it.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, I really hope that they choose to share it. And then they don't. And you're like, oh, I just bought that for Christmas. But those lessons really, they cut to the heart of the issue for her. And it really only took like twice. And she was just reflecting today that I think for the last 3 years, no, maybe it's been 4, she's received the character award of generosity from her teachers without consulting or remembering year to year that is something that they see in her character consistently. And it's not ironic. It is a trained behavior, but she has learned that there is blessing from that, and she's also received generosity from others.
Yeah.
But when the Bible talks about things like it's better to give than to receive, do your kids actually believe that? They have to actually practice it. And when they see the blessing from that, when they feel the truth from that, then you don't have to force them. Not that she always wants to share every single thing, and she's never selfish.
Of course. Yeah.
But now she is known by others as generous, where as a very young child, I was very concerned about that aspect of her character.
Yes. Now let's move forward into our field orders. So how do we get from here to there? What are the steps that we need to take out of Marxist wasteland into the Christian patriarchy kingdom?
Follow the red thread.
Follow the red thread backwards. So, field order number 1, we need to reorient our lives to the model given to us by Scripture. We need to develop a strong work ethic and train our children in this as well. If you don't work, you don't eat.
Children should have chores.
Children should have chores, and they shouldn't be something that they have no trouble doing. It should be things that are a little bit challenging to them. Expect more from your kids because their job is going to expect more. Their relationships are going to expect more. They should be able to grow and develop an ability to cope with the things that life brings to them. And
work doesn't have to be a drudgery.
Yeah.
Like each of the kids has a specific chore. Like, for instance, during mealtime, Atlas cleans the table, Emery washes dishes, Jax dries the dishes, Haukea sweeps.
Yeah.
And they have done those enough that they are competent in them. It helps our household to clean up quickly. That's a blessing. But then there are other family chores where before you can do certain things, the living room has to be clean. You fold your own laundry, all of those things. But we'll often turn on like music so they can be singing while they're doing it. It's not a drudgery. There are times where it's like, oh, I don't want to clean my room. But it's like, well, you can choose that, but then you don't get to do all these other things you want to do.
Yeah.
So they see that as, I do this work and it gets me this thing that I desire. And so eventually, like now at the point that we're at with most of our kids, their rooms are usually a mess anyways, because they just take everything out when they're playing. But there are certain aspects of our home where laundry was so annoying. We just always had mountains of clean laundry. And we never seemed like we could get everybody in the same place of like, you can fold your own stuff, because I would make piles. But then it's like, well, Emery was at football and Jax was here. And so they still have their piles. And so we got a better system where they can fold when they have time, but this is where your clean laundry is and that's your responsibility. And they rose to that very well. And that takes a burden off of the family where we can spend more time together. They can do it at their own pace. They don't have to worry about, oh, we have guests coming over and now mom's frustrated about it. So it's not to say that the work that our kids are doing is a heavy burden, but they're just taking care of things that naturally should be their responsibility.
Yeah.
And then also being productive members of the family.
Yeah. And so, again, we can train our children to be able to recognize these things and do them. And then, again, they become a blessing. They become a benefit in the home. And this is the next part of that, is recognizing the real value of both commercial and domestic labor and honor both of them. That doesn't mean pay both of them money, but it does mean, like, when your kids do a good job, let them know they did a good job. And recognize, like, the things that Ilorra does in our home are, I've heard people say, like, you know, I would have to pay an accountant. I would have to pay a maid. I would have to pay a nanny. I would have to, like, it's incalculable, the amount of value that an individual brings in a home. And so it's not just about the money aspect, but it's like, man, I tell her on a very frequent basis, like, I'm so grateful for you. And I appreciate you so much, and things like that. And then I try to show her that I appreciate her by, like, you know, let me give you a foot massage, or let me take care of this. Like tonight, I made dinner just because I have a history in cooking and I make good food. And so I do a decent amount of the cooking in the home. And then a lot of times the kids and Ilorra will handle most of the cleanup stuff, and I don't do the cleanup. But tonight, Emery was out at work. He normally does the dishes. And so Ilorra was going to just step in and take his spot, do the dishes. And I was like, no, because she's been physically not
I'm dealing with a pinched nerve.
Yeah, she's had some issues and stuff this week, and so it's been rough for her. And I was like, no, like, you just sit, just go take care of yourself. And really, I think just about all of it was just loading the dishwasher this time. It's not like that's a difficult thing to do, but it's a small thing to just remind her, like, no, like, I do value you, and I want to do, I don't have to do this, but I want to do this for you.
It also communicates to our kids that we don't just say, well, that's not my job. Because there are times where everyone needs help to do different things.
Yeah.
And so we should be a team.
Yeah.
We're working together. We're helping each other. So it's very normal that mom and dad step in and help clear the table or help put dishes away or do things like that, because it's not about, well, that's not fair because that's not my job. If we all don't pitch in and do our part sometimes, then our home is just a disaster.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we all have roles, and all of those roles have value. And when we all work together, it makes it run well and smooth, and it's not a heavy burden on anyone. Share the load.
We could probably do a whole episode on chores, because I'm really restraining of, like, if I was a listener who had young kids and was like, that sounds great, but how do I do that? that's something that I feel like I'd have a question about.
If that's you, let us know in the comments and say, hey, do the chores episode.
Yeah, because it would be super hard to try and break everything down. But I will share a little tidbit that if you want your children to be incentivized and you just feel like, yeah, but I just want them to, I want to give them something. We've done like
Chore
Cunningham
charts
Cash or Taurus charts or things like that, which like were kind of successful. They would usually forget about it, but there are extra things above and beyond, things that I don't expect them to do. This is not your responsibility, but they can always choose to do these things at their own discretion and they earn something.
Yeah.
So for example, like our daughter, I think starting when she was 6, I told her, if I give you a grocery sack and you go outside and fill it with pine cones from the yard, that helps brothers when they have to go mow. It saves the mower from running all this stuff over.
I appreciate that.
And it's something she is very physically capable of doing. She's outside in nature, and oftentimes she would just end up like playing in the grass. But if she fills up a bag of pine cones, then she either earns ice cream or video game time. Mm-hmm. And that's not something I force her to do. And very regularly, the kids will come to me and say, Mom, can I go do this thing? We also started that with puzzles. We bought this puzzle that was so hard. And I was like, we are determined. We're going to do it.
Was that the
nativity puzzle? Yeah, the nativity. It was the worst. I wanted it to be like Christ-centered. So I was like, this one's really nice. The kids helped me pick it out. It was so difficult. And so I instituted that if they sat down and worked on a puzzle and got a certain number of pieces, they could earn a scoop of ice cream per whatever, however many pieces. That puzzle was so hard. I think I made it 3. Like, that's literally how hard it was. It's not that now, but now they will.
3 pieces.
Yeah, 3 pieces of the puzzle, they earned ice cream. That's how difficult the puzzle was. But anyways, all that to say, if you want to incentivize, that's not a bad thing. We're not saying, like, don't give your kids rewards or don't reward good behavior, like when they're doing a good job in something. But those are things that they choose to do, that they go above and beyond for. And again, they just come to me and say, can I go pick up pine cones?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And they just know that if they bring me a bag, they get ice cream.
And that goes back to the, again, just reorienting our lives to the model that is given to us in Scripture, is that we want our kids to recognize, like, the work that you do is directly related to the benefits that you get. It's not money. That's where this whole concept of, like, what do you call
it?
Allowance, yeah. The whole concept of allowance is like, money only buys you things. It's only a means to an end. But if you just connect the work to the end, you're just cutting out the middleman. Anyways, but you guys unconditionally get the end because you are members of this family. But everybody in this family, there is an expectation that you contribute to that end, that you contribute to the family, and we're all working together. And so that's where, again, there's this little bit of truth in every lie, like this idea of this communist utopia of, like, oh, everybody's needs are just met, and, you know, the people that can work are working, and the people that need things are getting what they need, and everything is great, and it's just one big community. We share everything in common, and so nobody has too much, nobody has too little, except that everybody has too little. And when you remove the motivation for the work, you lose the work.
Like if I just say, hey guys, I need somebody to do this. Are your kids all jumping up to do that job? Probably not. Yeah.
It is important that we do let our kids know, like, there are certain things that you're just expected to do here because you are a part of this family. You receive the benefits of this family, and that is just part and parcel of it. And it's a good. Like, you ought to help. You cannot be lazy. Like, you do need to contribute here. And then there are, like you said, the things that go above and beyond where you can get rewarded for doing things without being asked or doing things that are needed that help somebody else. And that's a good thing too. These are Christian principles. This is not some, hippie kind of thing. This is biblical. You don't work, you don't eat. So, field order number 1, we need to reorient our lives to the model given to us by Scripture. Field order number 2, we need to reject any narrative that positions you as the victim and do not allow a victimhood mentality to take root in your home. That is an active, ongoing thing because it is so easy to fall into a victim mentality. That is what keeps people enslaved into the daddy government type thing.
I keep thinking you're going to say daddy God.
Daddy God. Yeah. I remember early on when people started using that, I heard a guy pray that, and I was like,
I'm sorry, what?
I thought you were cool. You're not cool. Like, that was literally my feeling.
Are you a stay-at-home husband?
Immediately, I have lost a lot of respect for you as a man. But, yeah, no, I've never used that terminology.
Not your jam.
Because it's lame. But that's what Abba means. It means Abba.
Sorry, I totally derailed that.
Yeah, I know.
Reject any narrative that positions you as a victim.
I'm just picturing the guy, too,
Yep.
and it's just like, oh, so lame. Reject any narrative that positions you as the victim. Do not allow a victimhood mentality to take root in your home. So do not allow that in your own heart. That means, like, even for all the junk that I went through, it would be very easy for me to sit back and say, well, I just got dealt a bad hand. Well, there's just nothing I could do about it. And, that's what the government's there for. And,
Nobody showed me.
Yeah, I didn't have a dad. I didn't have anybody helping me out. And, I'm just trying to make it on my own and live my life. And why should I have to, I can make a million excuses. But doesn't help me, doesn't help my family, doesn't make anything better, doesn't allow me to be a blessing in my community. Mm-hmm. And so, no, I can't do that. But then I have to take this step further outside myself. I can't allow it in my kids. Can't allow it in my wife. The victimhood mentality to take root there. And it's so easy.
Yeah.
You just slip right into it of like, I deserve.
Yeah, something that's been very helpful to me when I've slipped into that, especially dealing with situations where there are going to be times where you are dealing with an unjust situation or real offense or things that are very legitimate. And something that has helped me, it's not just to say, oh, this didn't happen, this isn't real. That's disingenuous is my favorite word for this episode. It's very disingenuous. But for you to say, I have not been offended more than I have offended Christ.
Yeah.
I have not been betrayed more than Christ was betrayed, even by me. To be able to put yourself back into perspective, this is something that, as a young child, I like to read books about hardships. I was very drawn to the Holocaust or different types of books about suffering. And that was very helpful for me in situations where I was struggling with different things, to look at a situation like that, to put back into perspective the reality. And the reality is that I, as a child of God, have been gifted things that I don't deserve.
Yeah.
And even as we were kind of just briefly talking about my health situation, we were in a car accident. I'm dealing with a lot from that.
Yeah, we got rear-ended, and
this is almost 2 years later, still dealing with a lot of stuff from that. It was no fault of our own, all of those things. So it can be very easy for me, and I can be very discouraged, where I can't do lots of things that I used to be able to do 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still fairly young, and there are so many things. I go to physical therapy, and it's all old people, and it's like, well, here I am over here. But do
they try to give you like hard candies?
No.
That would just be too perfect.
I've never been given a candy by an old person.
Sweet for the sweet.
No. But even in things like that, then when I read stuff like The Voice of the Martyrs, and I hear about injuries they've sustained for the sake of the gospel, where like people being hung upside down by their legs by ISIS, and now they like have permanent damage to their body because they wouldn't denounce their faith. It's like my suffering in comparison to that is nothing. I have access to healthcare. I have medications I can take. I have a husband who's willing to help do some traction on my neck. All these different things where it's not to belittle true suffering, but as an identity, I am not a victim.
Yes.
And Christ has given me more than I deserve exponentially.
Yeah.
That should be where I start from.
That's why I got her the Steph Curry shoes, because it's got Philippians 4:13 written on the top.
Not true.
So, not true. Not true.
I am not a baller.
Or a shot collar.
Sometimes I do that.
Yeah. Never driven an Impala. So. Field order number 3. That was all good, babe. I appreciate that. Field order number 3. Reject a perpetual poverty mentality. Now, this may sound like the one before.
Redundant.
But it's not. There's a difference between a victim mentality and a poverty mentality. They're related, but they're not the same. So we should not blindly live in opulence without concern for the people around us. But we should also work diligently so that we do have something to give when it is needed. I've seen both sides of this growing up in a Pentecostal charismatic environment, where there is either the prosperity gospel, which is a lie, demonic, heretical, from the pits of hell. So prosperity gospel. Or there is also the poverty gospel of like, oh, I just have to give everything away. I have to make my life harder than it is.
I have to give what I don't have.
Give beyond my means and all of that stuff. Like, I need to live in poverty, and anything that I get, I just automatically push away. Like, all money is bad. All, any comfort is bad. And, asceticism, Gnosticism is basically what it is. It's a fake piety that says, like, I am more spiritual because I just don't do anything. And I particularly hate this because I like things that taste good. And I did do overseas missions for a while and worked in India for a bit. And they were like, you have to go to Gandhi's house. And I was like, I don't have to go to Gandhi's house. But they were like, you have to go to Gandhi's house. So one day it was like a field trip that the kids were going on. We all went to Gandhi's house, and it's been turned basically into like a little Gandhi wax museum type thing outdoors that you just kind of walk through his commune that he built. And then there's a literal museum right across the street, the Gandhi Museum, and at the museum is a restaurant. And it was funny because some of the kids were like, have you been to the Gandhi house yet? Or like, no. They're like, oh, make sure you eat at the Gandhi restaurant, snicker, snicker. I was like, okay. And so we went and ate there, and it's like literally everything tastes terrible. Like, what is wrong with this? It's so bad. And they were like, this is the food that Gandhi ate. And it was like, just terrible. Like, it was like eating dirt, like eating straight mud. And I was like, what is this crap? And the kids just thought it was hysterical because I was like, no, this is bad. This is not good food, guys. And that was part of his piety, was like, oh, I will not eat things that, taste good to the flesh and stuff. But I'm also a pervert. Look it up. I'm not going to get in there. He's a creep. But this fake sense, this is a self-righteous,
like something God didn't ask of us.
No, and actually God does choose to bless his people. I also think of, there's a thing that was going on for a while, and it was called the Elephant Room, and they would get pastors to come in that had like different or opposing views and like all sit together. So it was an elephant room where they pulled Francis Chan, Mark Driscoll, and Joshua Harris. And Joshua Harris was the moderator. You know Joshua Harris?
Isn't he the I Kiss Dating Goodbye?
He is the I Kiss Dating Goodbye guy.
And didn't he renounce his faith? Yeah.
Yeah. And so they were in there, and Joshua Harris is the moderator. Mark Driscoll is saying, like, hey, we should be like good stewards of our money and be wealthy and all of that stuff. And Francis Chan is like, he's like, it's not like I took like a vow of poverty, but I think that money should be like, we should be using most of our money for like kingdom purposes and stuff, and we don't need as much as everybody thinks we need. They're like, oh, you like gave up everything, you moved to China for a year, like what's wrong with you? He's like, we just felt like that's what God was calling us to do. But what's very interesting is these guys are in there, and actually even Joshua Harris at times was like, yeah, but Francis, it ain't got to be like all that. But of these guys, Mark Driscoll, this is before the fall of the rise and fall of Mars Hill, and before he basically lost his church and lost his ministry and everything, and now he's kind of slowly rebuilding and rebranding and all that. But it was because of a misappropriation of like church funds, and he used church money and told all his church people, you all need to buy crates of my new book so that it goes straight to the New York Times bestseller list when it comes out. And they did that. They bought his own book, and so that it would artificially go to the top, which is actually a tactic that publishing houses use. That's how they, like, this book came out yesterday, and it's already a New York Times bestseller. Like, it couldn't have been, but it's because they buy their own books. So he was just using the tactics that the world uses, but it is also something that in the church we call lying. And that was like the impetus that then unearthed all of this other garbage stuff that was going on. And so he gets kind of discredited and loses his ministry and stuff. Josh Harris, as you already mentioned, apostatizes, renounces his books, his purity culture books that he wrote, even to the point of like, I will buy back the book and pay you money, which...
Well, dang, I missed out on that. I'm pretty sure I own that.
No, I think he's still doing it. I think we could, because that book was trash. That book sucked. And so I wouldn't mind getting Josh Harris's money back 30 years later. But yeah, he completely apostatized, is not a professing Christian anymore, and is also a turd. And so, like, of these dudes, it's like Francis... Not to say that he's never done things that people questioned him on and didn't like about him or whatever, but he's maintained his ministry, he's maintained his integrity, and he still is like has a lot of influence and stuff.
He's bearing fruit, his children are bearing fruit.
And in the conversation, it was really funny. He was like, I don't see this as my money, I see it as God's money. And he was like, so if, something comes up and God's like, I want you to write a check and build a hospital in Uganda, I'd do it. And he's like, and Mark Driscoll goes, you can build a hospital in Uganda. He's like, well, yeah.
I have a best.
And then it was like this pause where he's like, oh, wait, Francis Chan is not poor. He's not a homeless person. He's not some hobo. It's like everything that he's doing this by choice. And he could. And like he does a lot of ministry with his funds. And he even makes some of his books like You and Me Forever. You can get that for free online because they just want to bless marriages. They're like, if you want to buy it, you can buy it, and that's great. But you can get the whole thing for free, and you can get the video resources for free, and you can get this for free. You can get like Crazy Love for free, like all the money from Crazy Love. He just started giving to like directly funneling to ministries. It's like, it's not that he is poor; it's that he is just funneling that money outward, but also like his family is provided for, they're taken care of, they're being blessed still by his work. And it's a good thing. So I think it's not one or the other. It's not either you do the prosperity gospel or either you take this vow of poverty and you put ashes on your head and whatever. It's no, like it is all God's. And whatever he has given us, we use it to be a blessing to others. We host our church gathering here in our home. We have had people come and live with us at different points. We have had lots of people over for dinners, and we've had bands come and stay the night at our house. And we do a lot of things with this. We use our vehicles very frequently to minister to people, to help people, to go on trips and whatever. We do all of these things, but we also first take care of our family, make sure their needs are provided for, because if we don't do that, we're denying the faith and we're worse than an unbeliever. And so it's not this extremist view of one or the other. It is carrying both and walking with an open hand and saying, God, yes, I will receive the blessing from you, and I will funnel that blessing to wherever you direct it to. Anything you want to add on that one? All right, moving right along. One thing I did want to say finally on that before I move on, almost forgot. Because we are patriarchal, this also means that we do need to look to the needs of widows and orphans, those without fathers to care or provide for them. That is biblical. We see it right in the book of Acts. They even placed elders in the church over that ministry to care for the widows and orphans. So that's a direct biblical thing that the church ought to be doing. But it is specifically, and Paul even clarifies, like not just any widow, like a 25-year-old lady whose husband died, she can get remarried. Even an older widow who has family that can take care of her, her family should take care of her. And so they put stipulations on this stuff. But it's important to understand also we are never commanded in Scripture to subsidize sin, meaning it is not a biblical command for us when we see random homeless person on the side of the street that is clearly like strung out and they're asking for money. That was something that people would go back and forth on when we were growing up, like, oh, I just feel like so guilty. I feel like I should give them something, and should I just give them food? Should I just give them whatever? And I've even known people like, I tried to give them food, and they're like, nah, I don't want that. But let me just take that burden off of you. You're not commanded to do that. You don't have to just give your money and give your resources to people so that they can go and either take your money and go buy drugs or whatever, alcohol, or you give them food so they can use the money that they do have on drugs and alcohol. You don't have to do that. And again, we were homeless for a while. I lived in homeless shelters. I remember being in the cafeteria of the homeless shelter and listening to these professional homeless guys have a conversation of what are the best places to go. Like, oh, you don't want to go up here in the winter, but, actually in the summer it's pretty good. And they got a lot of people up there. They'll just give you cash, man. They're not going to give you food. They'll just give you cash. Like, you want them to go here at this time of the year. But then, you always want to go south over here. They've got some really good shelters down this way. They'll hook you up, and then you can just go out during the day, get your money, give that stuff, and then they'll let you come back. And it's this whole operation. It's like, or you could get a job. You could work. And they had programs at the shelter. They have a whole program to help these people to get the resources, to get training, to get cleaned up, to get clean clothes, and all this kind of stuff. Like, you could do it, but this is a choice for many.
I feel like you also talk about that from the perspective of somebody, like, we've been overseas. And it's very different here than it is overseas, where they have nowhere to go. There are no resources, no options, no way out.
Which actually comes back to the economic side of it, because when people work and you build a culture, a society that values work and values enterprise and all of these things, it actually lifts everybody else up. But when you have these cultures that do not value these things and stifle, when you live in a communist society or you live in a corrupt government society, then those things, there is no upward mobility. There is no forward access. And so they lose the enterprise and the ability to make a life for themselves. And again, when I was in India, they literally had people who would maim children because they made more money begging. And so they would gouge out their eyes or burn their eyes out or cut off an arm and then put them on a street corner. It's disgusting. And it's horrendous. And that, again, it's demonic. But these are these demonic cultural systems that it's just evil. And we have to recognize that this is evil. So we're never commanded to subsidize sin, including the sin of laziness or slothfulness, by giving to those who could and should otherwise be able to care for themselves. That is not something the Bible commands us to do. And actually, the Bible commands them to work. So, the final field order for today: evaluate your household influences, starting with who is educating your children. And Ilorra touched on this earlier. It has been, in most areas, past time to get your kids out of public school. In most places around the country, I'm sure there are small towns that are removed from a lot of it, but I even have family that are in small towns that are still getting the trans ideology pushed on their children. They're like, they didn't get this in home. They didn't hear this anywhere here, but they had a teacher, they had a school counselor tell them, like, oh, you don't fit in. It's probably because of this. And they start buying it. And the teachers at school are telling them, you can go by a girl's name when you're at school. You can go by a boy's name when you're at school, and we won't tell your parents. Small towns. It's not just in the cities anymore. And that is where, like, as parents, you can make the choice to just be extremely like a hawk, watching everything that's going on, asking your kids questions every day, following up, listen to what they're listening to, read through their books, read through, most of their stuff's going to be coming through online. It's not going to be in books anymore. Watch the videos they're watching, their assignments that they're getting, not just in health class, not just in social studies. It's coming through in all areas now. Look at what your little kids are reading. What books do they have on the shelf in the kindergarten classroom? You can do all of that work, and still things are going to get through. And it's not just LGBT stuff, but there are so many ways that it's just infiltrating the education system. And so, and I would say even at a lot of Christian schools, Christian colleges, for a long time, many of them have been compromised already. So it's not even just like, oh, I just put them in this school because they say they're a Christian school and they're going to be safe now. You still have to do the vetting work and get pastoral recommendations. And then at the end of the day, it still may be the best option for you where you're at, financially speaking, all things considered, to homeschool. And these are hard choices. These are hard decisions, but you cannot constantly fight a battle of discipleship when you get your kids for 4 or 5 hours a day. They get your kids for 8 or 9 hours a day, and that's not counting if there's any sports or extracurriculars. They have intentionally established a public school system, very Marxist, based off of the goals that they said they had way back in the 50s, to usurp the authority and the role of the parents in the home and try to make the school the new place where your kids will be discipled so that the government can shape what they want. And the government wants a very easily controlled, easily manipulated, be able to tell what to do, can't own anything, can't do anything for themselves. That's what they want. And they're building them in a lot of our schools. So do you have anything that you would add on to that? Because you've worked on both sides of this. Private school, public school, and grew up homeschooled.
Yeah. I guess I would say for people who maybe if you feel stuck or you're not really sure what to do or this feels overwhelming, I would maybe just remind people that there's no perfect option. It's not like, oh, if I homeschool, the world won't get at my kids. Or if our kids were in public school for a season and the Lord made it very clear when it was time to move them out. But again, I was teaching in the district. I knew the curriculum. I handpicked their teachers. So there was a lot of safety. I guess maybe just resting in the sovereignty of God, that the Lord is kind and good and he will lead you in what's good and right. But this is an area where you should sacrifice because it's important. So kind of been thinking how a lot of people will say that they're putting away money for their child's college or things like that. That is an investment that you see that is worthwhile, that you are putting things away. But their elementary, middle, and high school are just as, if not more, important, because this is where they're learning identity and truth and establishing worldview. And so it is your job to be vigilant and also just be intentional with your kids, having conversations with them about things. You should be the one teaching them truth.
Yeah.
It's not just, oh, they heard something and so I'm undoing the work that they have. They should have a good foundation so that if they do hear something that's just kind of wonky, they recognize it as such. Like, oh, that's kind of weird. And they should have a foundation to stand on in that regard. But like we have sacrificed to be in the place that we're at the Christian school that I'm teaching at. All of our kids attend Christian school at this season of our life. And what that meant for me was taking a huge pay cut from public school. Or we have to say no to certain things because we're saying yes to tuition. And so it is a sacrifice. And for people who maybe are looking at that thinking, I feel stuck, I don't have options, the Lord will make a path clear.
Yeah.
And you have to care enough about it to be willing to make sacrifices if that's what he's calling you to, and also know that he will provide for the things that you need.
Yeah. And if that's where you're at, obviously I can't tell you which Christian school in your area is going to be the best one. That's something that you would have to, research and really dig into for yourself.
Pray about.
Definitely pray about and seek the Lord. If you are considering homeschooling and you're looking just for a place to start, I did look at homeschooling, and actually even with Emery, homeschooled him for a year. And so I was looking at a lot of different options, and it needed to have certain criteria, and I wanted Christian homeschooling, not just, basic stuff. And so I would recommend, these are two that I really looked heavily into, and different backgrounds for both of them, and different price points for both of them, which ended up being the main factor for us as we were making that choice. But if you are looking for like the top tier classical education, and I'm talking like getting into Latin and getting into like the classical books and going through building on logic and all that kind of stuff, and also having a community resource behind it, like in-person community resources behind it, you should look into Classical Conversations, which is a Christian homeschooling program where I think it's like 70-30. You do 70% at home, 30% in a group setting with a trained teacher. So they're still getting the socialization. They're still getting outside and learning things. And it's not all on you. You don't have to know all of these things for yourself. You can have that support, and you can have that community aspect to it. That one was really, really great when I looked into it, and was a close runner-up for what we ended up going with. But we were on a budget. And so a
tight budget.
Yeah, we were on a real tight budget, and so I was like, I don't know if we'll be able to swing that one right now, but I really like it. But there is another one, another Christian program. It's called schoolhouseteachers.com. And this one, it is pre-K through 12th grade. And you can even buy a household pack where I think you just get access to the whole thing for one annual membership, and you can get any grade. So that one price covers your whole family. And they even have a lifetime option where you can pay like this much, and then you never have to pay annually again. You have access to all of their resources, and they add new resources every year. Some of it's through video content, some of it's through books and reading, and again, they have classical literature and lots of other things as well. And this one I also recommended to another friend recently. Their son was moving over to homeschooling, and it worked out really well for him as well. So schoolhouseteachers.com, and it's Classical Conversations. You can look those up and see if Classical Conversations is in your area, and make sure, obviously, find out that if they meet the state requirements where you're at. But those are two resources that I could recommend that I've personally looked into, and we even used one of them when we were homeschooling Emery for a year. So those are just to help you recognize there are things out there that you can do, even if you're not a teacher, even if you're not trained in this stuff. But you recognize, like, I can't keep sending my kids into this war zone and expect that they're going to come home unharmed. It's something you need to take very seriously. And I would say prioritize. In our family, we have taken pay cuts and chosen to work where we work right now so that our kids can have the education and not have all of the indoctrination, be in a healthy environment. So that's where we're going to leave you. That's the final field order for the day. And so we're going to move now into the charge. If this episode resonated with you and you want to go deeper, we created something specifically for that. It's called the War Council. It's our private membership where we go deeper into strategy, cultural analysis, parenting, theology, and practical ways to build strong Christian families. If you want to stand alongside other families who take this battle seriously, you can join us there. Most of the deeper strategy conversations that we will be having are going to happen inside War Council. The link is in the description. As always, we must remember that even when we can put a man's face and name on an ideology, there is ever in the shadows just behind them our true enemy at work, pulling the strings and working to destroy them and us. The devil wants us all dead. To that end, we must resolve to destroy arguments, not people, and every lofty opinion raised against the knowledge of God, and take every thought captive to obey Christ. This work starts in our homes. Destroy the arguments in your own minds, which cast you as the hapless victim in your state of affairs. Destroy every lofty, worldly opinion which seeks to subjugate men, loose women to depravity, and corrupt children through rebellious ideologies and seductive lies. The gospel of Jesus Christ is the most powerful and effectual force in all of creation, and we who adhere to it are called more than conquerors in Christ Jesus. From the husbands and fathers, to the wives and mothers, to the children, every role in the Christian home is vital, valued, and has the potential to reflect the gospel as a beacon of hope in the darkness of this dying world. Take ground every day, advance the line. This is Ascend the Trenches.